Hello, chess fans! This is Rick from Chess to Progress. If you want to get better at chess, you will need to study tactics, study endgames, study the classics from the past and the present, and analyze your own games. On all of these topics, I have series on the Chess to Progress channel. If you go to the playlists, you'll see the series on tactics, endgames, classics, and analyzing your own games. This video is number 64 in the Analyzing Your Own Games series. Viewers send me their games by email and I analyze them and present them here on the Chess to Progress channel. 64 is of course an important number for chess players as there are 64 squares on the chessboard. Let's look at this game, which is from Gaurav. And Gaurav says, Gaurav here, I enjoy your videos a lot and haven't missed a single release for the past few months. I would really appreciate if you could analyze the following game for me and your other viewers. It was a move a day chess game on chess.com, so 24 hours per player for each move to think. But the game concluded in about 2 days, so me and my opponent were not using all the time allotted to us, but we were taking our time except for obvious recaptures. An average move took 15 minutes to 4 hours to be played out. I was right in this game. Of course, an engine will tell you everything move-wise, but not conceptually. So I'm hoping, if you do manage to get to it, there may be something to learn from it. Thanks again, all the best, Gaurav. Let's have a look at Gaurav's game. He was white and opened e4. e5 from his opponent, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and on move 3 already a bit of an odd move, h6. Not a bad move, there's nothing terribly wrong with it, but it's maybe a waste of time. It is too early to know if it's useful to keep a knight out of g5 or the bishop later out of g5, or if black wants to play g5 himself. It's a bit too early for that on move 3. On move 3 you really need to make sure you get your pieces into the game, and h6 is not in line with that. But it's not the end of the world. Knight c3, developing a piece from Gaurav. Bishop e7, d3, and knight f6. I forgot to mention the ratings. Gaurav had a rating on chess.com of 1283 and his opponent of 1162. After knight f6, Gaurav played h3, so similar to the h6 move by black a few moves earlier. But it turns out, as we see later, that white does has an idea with this move. He wants to play g4, and that pawn will then be protected on g4. So there's an idea behind h3. Black castled, Gaurav developed his bishop, b6, and queen d2, preparing to castle on the queen side. Bishop b7, and there comes g4 as planned. And we have a6. What black is doing is preparing b5. a3, anticipating b5, and maybe other pushes on the queen side, so already making a safe square for his bishop. There comes b5, bishop, safely on a2, d6, and now knight h4. And that is a mistake from Gaurav, a very instructive mistake, because black now has a standard tactic, which is good to remember. It happens quite a bit. I have fallen for it myself a lot. What black could have played here is knight takes e4, and that is a discovered attack on the knight. So if you take the knight is attacking your queen, so if you take the knight, bishop takes h4, and black has won a pawn. As I said, a standard tactic which happens quite a lot. Black didn't see it, didn't spot Gaurav's mistake, and played king h7, giving some extra protection to the h6 pawn. There were possible sacrifices in the air there. King h7 protects that pawn once more. Knight f5, very nice square for the knight. That was the idea behind knight h4, to go to f5. Knight d4, threatening to swap that knight. And after Gaurav castled queenside. The safest way to play for black would have been indeed to take the knight. Take that very strong knight on f5. You cannot take with the e-pawn, because there's something hanging in the corner. But if you take with the g-pawn, then black can play, for example, d5 to free up his position. You have to count, but this pawn is protected well enough. Protected 3 times and attacked 3 times. So it's a safe move to play, and it frees up black's position somewhat. Position is equal here. But after castling queenside, black played knight f3, attacking the queen. Queen went to e2, and apart from having that square in white's position, that black knight is not doing much there. It's now attacked, so it moves again. Knight d4 is really the only move here, but black played knight g5, and that's a step in the wrong direction. Now white's attack becomes very strong. Lots of white's pieces are looking at the king side. Even this bishop, which is far away in the queen side, is looking at the king side. Here, bishop takes g5 to open up lines against black's king would have been the best move. That's what white wants to do, open lines against black's king. That's why that move makes a lot of sense. You have to take back, and then h4, and you're going to open lines. But after knight g5, Gaurav did not take that knight. He played h4, also a good move. But bishop takes g5 is more direct. The knight has to go again, knight e6. And there comes g5. Gaurav keeps going forward. Attacking another knight, knight d7. Rook dg1, bringing another piece into the attack on black's king. And knight f4. This is the 5th move with this knight in the last 6 moves. It was clear that black didn't really know how to play against white's attack. White's attack is much easier to conduct than black's defense, and in general that is true, that attacking is easier than defending. So that's why it's better to attack than to defend, because it's easier to play. And this is a good example of that. That knight jumped around. It could have been taken now, and then e takes f4, and the queen can come into h5. Very, very strong. But Gaurav played it differently. He played the queen to g4. Not as strong, but also not spoiling anything. g6 from black, attacking the knight. And here that pawn on h6 is unprotected, so Gaurav could have just taken that pawn. And that will make it easier to attack the black king when that pawn is gone. But he did not take the pawn, he took the bishop. Black took back, and now h5. Another instructive move, very strong move from Gaurav. Opening lines. And this pawn structure, these 4 pawns, remind me of a recent game from the world champion Magnus Carlsen against Gawain Jones in the Tata Steel tournament of 2018. It's video number 290 on the Chess to Impress channel. You may want to check that video out. I'll put a link to it in the description box of this video. This is a position from that game after the 23rd move from Carlsen, g4, g5, with the same pawn constellation on the king side as in Gaurav's game. And here Magnus Carlsen actually said it here. He got some hope after having blundered a piece in the opening. As you can see, he's a piece down, but he got some hope and he won this position a piece down. Back to Gaurav's game at a slightly lower level than the world champion level. After h5, black took on h5, and here a beautiful and very strong exchange sacrifice from Gaurav. Rook takes h5, destroying the protection around black's king. You have to take back, the queen takes, and the game is over. There's already a forced checkmate, so that rook takes h5, that exchange sacrifice was very, very strong. Black played king g8, and Queen g6 check is the quickest way to checkmate from Gaurav, and he found it. And now we see the importance of this bishop on a2. It is pinning the pawn on f7, so the queen cannot be taken. Long live the bishop on a2. Black played king h8, and the last move of the game, queen takes h6 check, and black resigned. Gaurav said, "I was happy with the outcome. I've always wanted to pull off a successful sacrifice, exchange sacrifice in long time controls. But while analyzing the game with an engine, I noticed that my opponent did not play the best defense leading up to my exchange sacrifice. And in many cases, I did not find the best attack either. But the sacrifice itself seemed sound, and I felt good enough with that. I have not been actively training in chess for the last few months due to a lack of time, but I would surely appreciate this and maybe even be inspired to make some time for playing in my busy schedule." Just to show the forced checkmate, king g8 is the only legal move. The queen goes back to g6, king h8, and then the rook delivers checkmate. As one example, there are other checkmates in a few moves as well. Very good game from Gaurav. For somebody with a rating of 1283, this was a very impressive game. And as I said, it was a very good demonstration of attacking being easier than defending. Black knew an attack was coming. He didn't know how to play against it. He tried to keep the lines closed. He jumped around with his knight. But White's play was a lot more effective. And he just brought his pieces over towards the king side, let all his pieces play, and found a very nice winning exchange sacrifice at the end. Well done, Gaurav, and thank you very much for sharing this game with us. Hope you enjoyed Gaurav's game, and if you did, please give the video a thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. Please leave a comment, I will read them all and I will reply to them all. You also may want to check out my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.